Hello and welcome to our 7-8 minutes of weekly Torah talk. Our guest today is Rabbi Malcolm Cohen from Temple Sinai in Las Vegas. Hello, Rabbi. Thank you for being with us.
Hi there, Shmuel. Thanks for having
This,
me.
this is the week of Purim, and today, Friday, it is still Purim, at least in Jerusalem. Tomorrow, we will read from the Torah a parsha that some would argue is humorless, Parshat Tzav. In this parsha, Moses passes to Aaron and his sons their duties and rights as Kohanim, priests. The fire on the altar must be kept burning at all times. The Kohanim eat the meat of the sin and guilt offerings and the remainder of the meal offering. The peace offering is eaten by the one who brought it, except for specified portions given to the Cohen. Aaron and his sons remain within the sanctuary compound for 7 days, during which Moses initiates them into the priesthood. The second pasuk of this parsha says, צב את אהרון ואת בניו לאמור, זאת תורת העולה, היא העולה על מוקדה על המזבח כל הלילה עד הבוקר, ואש המזבח תוקד בו. Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the burnt offering, that is the burnt offering which burns on the altar all night until morning, and the fire of the altar shall burn with it. So, Rabbi, you have Purim on the one hand, and you have such parsha on the other hand. What a rabbi does on such Shabbat.
I know it's very strange dilemma, and also on a week where the attacks have happened in Brussels, and so you've got on one hand hilarity, frivolity, and on the other hand deadly seriousness. They are mixed a little bit in terms of Parshat Tzav. My father always brought me up with strange stories of Kohanim. We are in theory, from the priestly caste. But
yes, you're Malcolm Cohen, so you should.
Malcolm Cohen, yes. So you would think, right? If I go all the way back in an unbroken line to Aaron, the big Kahuna. But not necessarily. My father always told me that, 4 generations ago, my ancestors got off the boat from Russia to England, and a board customs official, not wishing to spell or write our complicated Russian name, said, they're Jewish, so we'll call them Cohen. So I'm not so sure. I'm Cohen, but maybe I'm not. And so therefore my relationship with Parashat Tzav and Aaron and his sons is a little bit ambiguous.
And the smell of the meat offerings does not tempt you to join the priestly vocation.
Not necessarily that. Although when I'm a rabbi of a Reform synagogue, and so we've done away with the hierarchy. Although the head of my ritual committee is a Levi, and he calls himself a holy schlepper, and he's really helpful to me. But the fact that I'm a Cohen and he's a Levi is more a coincidence than anything else. But when I'm in an Orthodox synagogue, I will totally freely admit that when they're doing the first Aliyah and they ask if there's a Cohen in the house, then I do put my hand up and take my priestly privileges, at least temporarily.
So on such Shabbat, is it tempting to talk about Parshat Shavua, the somewhat grim parsha of this week, or do you just keep talking about the Megillah and the Purim story?
Yeah. No, I generally err on the side of trying to work Purim in. My congregation know that there's a tradition here at Temple Sinai in Las Vegas of doing Purim Torah. And so the first year I did it, my drush, it sounded very serious, but as it went on, then people realized that not so much. And so now they're looking for it, and we bring a bit of light relief. The first year that I introduced the idea of Purim Torah to this congregation, my drush was on the basis that the troubles of the Jewish community in Las Vegas, everything was so divisive that the only way to resolve all our problems was have a good old-fashioned rumble. So one synagogue would come with knives, another with clubs, and we would resolve all differences once and for all.
Okay, and what will you do this year, assuming you don't mind doing some preview without exposing all of your drasha for tomorrow.
Sure. I mean, I think I'm probably going to, this is the one time a year I enlist help writing my sermons. So there's a really great guy in my congregation called Rosner, fantastic writer, and so we collaborate. Unfortunately, I might have to rip it up. Just when things, I'll give you a preview, but when things happen like in Brussels, and I'm not sure rabbis with clear conscience can just go on, sailing on serenely with all of their homiletical plans.
Right.
But if I did give the sermon, then it was going to be on the basis of a satire of the current political situation, and pretend that I was going to run for president, make America British again. Would be the slogan or something like that.
Well, some people might say that the current political process is even more satirical than your suggestion.
Absolutely. You could not make it up. If the writers of SNL got together with Monty Python in some kind of unholy perfect comedic storm, then maybe they couldn't even come up with this.
More seriously, as we talk about the parsha of the week every week, what do you think is the place of humor in talking about the parsha of the week?
Well, I think people have to be drawn in with it. I mean, the Jew that reads the Torah and doesn't see it as hilariously funny on many occasions is the one who missed the point. When we read Parashat Balak, the idea of Bilam trying to shift his ass, it's like it's ridiculous comedy. On Yom Kippur when we have Jonah, it's ridiculous. I mean, the cattle are sitting in sackcloth and ashes along with the people. I mean, and in mourning, it's ridiculous. So I think people have to understand that things are just a little bit silly. And I think, by the way, that aspect of humor helps us deal with the difficult aspects of life. So if you ignored it, then life would be unremittingly dour.
Anything you find funny or ridiculous about the story of the priestly class, except for your own personal story about it?
Yeah, absolutely. What I love is in the Mishnah, we hear Yomah. The priests were really competitive, and so one of the jobs they really loved was to clear up the ashes after the sacrifice was burnt. Now that's actually a serious point, because we can, to have such caring and competition about a seemingly mundane job. Actually, the ashes after the fire has been doused, that's holiness can reside in very strange places and unexpected places. That's the serious point. But the silly point is that the priests actually competed against each other to get this job. So they would have this running race, and whoever won would get the job, put on the special linen clothes, clear away the ashes. But what you have to have in your mind is kind of like the slow motion chariots of fire scene, where they're straining sinew and muscle to get in front of one another. And the Mishnah tells us that they had to go to a lot system because someone broke their leg in that particular priestly competition. So people just grabbing each other and elbowing each other out of the way. So priests can be silly as well.
Rabbi, thank you. Purim Sameach and Shabbat Shalom, and let's keep smiling.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you.